All right, folks, ladies and gentlemen, an all new episode of WTF Wrestling. Nelson Torres here, along with the WTF Universal Champion, Rise to the Top briefcase holder, and I guess the icon over there, Angelo Razorblade Vega.
How you doing, everybody? Are you ready for part 2 of more of the history that goes on here?
Yes, and then some. So we got a lot to discuss. So there's a lot more to talk about. So with that, WTF Wrestling starts right around now. All right, folks, ladies and gentlemen, Nelson Torres here, along with Angelo Razorblade Vega. We got a lot to discuss here, and plenty of dogs, and then some.
Just Angelo Razorblade Vega?
You're the Universal Champion.
Exactly.
And the Rise of the Top briefcase.
Exactly. Which, Nelson, I told you, and I told the world last year, this is the year I'm going to cash that in.
All right. So,
but like I said, we know right now, currently, the world's heavyweight champion, Chris Angels, I told you, I kind of like him. And furthermore, he has not even, provoked me.
All right.
Even though I went to his face, just to, I went to his face with the briefcase and my universal belt, just kind of like a reminder, listen, I'm watching what's going on. Because I could have cashed in there, but I didn't feel like it.
Is that all?
As far as that goes, yes.
Okay. You said a lot last week, but there's some people don't always want to hear what I have to say about the history as well too. So some of it might be incorrect. I will say that, because you said that the IWW was the founding fathers of myself, you, and Low Life Louie, which is true. But the name came up as a collaboration, not just one person, by the way. Just thought I mentioned that. If you want to elaborate
well,
that.
It's still from us three.
Yes. So I just want
as far as that AIWA between Heartbreak Khan, Mark Knight, and Miguel Havoc, I don't know from those three who made the name.
Well, I don't know who.
We just know that it came from those three, the same way IWW came from us three.
See, but the thing is, as you say, I don't know who came up with the name. I don't think that's really relevant to the conversation, honestly. To me, it's just AIWA was invented. It lasted the way it was. It had its issues. I don't want to recap that from last week, or we recapped that from last week. But what I'm saying is that things like that happen. We move on and we learn from it. And I'm gonna be honest right here. I didn't really sat too much watching AIWA back then, as some people thought I did. Not to say I never did. I know.
Well, because we was busy doing our stuff.
Yeah. Well, also, if I remember correctly, it was also on 4:00 in the afternoon on a Wednesday, if I remember correctly. That because the only way I watched it was through somebody we know who used to wrestle on the show as well. But I digress. So with that, so there were a few things that I feel like there was a lot of holes that we didn't really get into. We stated that we went to Johnny Rod's in '95, but we didn't stay till '96 because a ring broke or the rope broke, whatever.
Put it like this: a quick recap.
Mm-hmm.
All the wrestling that happened inside of the actual wrestling ring started at Johnny Rod's wrestling school.
Yeah, correct. Yes, that is true. Yes.
And then here's something a lot of people may not realize. Me versus the Heartbreak Khan was the first ever wrestling match in a wrestling ring in WTF. It was during my Razor Ramon phase.
Call that a
and
phase.
During his Shawn Michaels phase. Meaning we were kids. We were emulating and imitating who we liked at the time.
Yeah, but we're full grown nuts, right?
Yeah. But like we said, it started at Johnny Rod's. Fast forward all the way till now, and we do our stuff at the WWX gym, and also the what's the name of it in Jersey?
ECPW with
ECPW.
Gino Caruso. Yeah, we
Can
go
I
there.
just call it the Jersey ring, just to shorten
But
it?
there's plenty of rings in Jersey. So what's
I know,
new?
like Mike Morgan is still around, who we've dealt with
I
and been to
well,
plenty of times, which is still one of my favorite places.
well, it's a different location now. I didn't know that he was still around,
And
but
he's still there.
well, he's broing everybody that walks into the door. But but as far as that place, yeah, that's in Gino. We still go there from
So
time to time.
those
So
are our current 2 locations.
all right, so there's that.
You want to know everything? Watch the previous episode of this.
Yes, of course. About last week's episode. So did anybody else mention anything about what they saw? Did they question like, oh, they one person did comment say they wanted more history. So we're gonna try to do the best
Yeah.
way possible.
And 2 people commented, why did last week look like a 1984 VHS tape?
And you're gonna say it was from a filter. You edited it with
Listen,
filters.
however that was loaded, Eminem, you fucked up.
Well, Eminem had nothing.
Maybe they hired a new.
Well, first of all,
maybe they hired a new guy, didn't know what he was doing.
Well, I'm just gonna mention something quick about this. Let me oblige this, please. And not for nothing. Every week when I edit these shows and when I put these shows up, some people say, "Oh, this wasn't okay. This was all good. It's okay. Whatever." Not every show has to be perfect. I mean, we try the best way possible to the best of our abilities. But however, I'm not taking any comments from a guy who swears that they use ketchup as blood in wrestling. I'm sorry.
Not me. You're not talking about me.
Yeah, and for the record, why would you use ketchup in a wrestling match?
Because maybe he's hungry. I don't fucking know.
But ketchup smells. There's a distinct smell to it. You would know if it's ketchup. It's just common sense.
It's not ketchup. All right.
I'm
sure not wrestlers per se, but very intelligent fans know how the blood works. All right? Don't want to get into the detail, but I'm sure you know how it really works.
How it really works, but definitely
I know the 2 ways it works, but I don't want to talk about it.
One of them is not ketchup.
No, never ketchup.
But why? That makes no sense to me. And
all right, listen, we don't want to sit here talking about fucking ketchup all day. Can you just go on?
Go on. What's the hurry for you?
What's the hurry for me is, listen, we're in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still contemplating whom I'm going to pick for my tag team partner. This, like that girl says in WWE, Tiffy time.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to fight.
Wow. That goes without saying, right? So we're trying to do the best that we could. That's what I'm trying to say here. That's the point I'm trying to make. Every week, we try to do the best show every week, the best way possible. Good or bad, we learn it from it. That's all we can do, right? So, again, I digress. So, now today, as we talked about last week's timeline, this week, there was more timeline that we did from 2000. We left off 2015. Now, not many people know that around that time, we introduced the WTF United Continental Championship. That's where we have the United States Championship and the Intercontinental Championship all combined into one. So that's how it became, because the same lineage of those two came into one. So we started in 2015. Matter of fact, it's 10 years old as we speak. So the current champion, Heavy the Clown, is holding it. So
we had a few champions already.
Yes.
I was the first one.
That is true.
The inaugural one.
The inaugural champion, yes. Angelo Vega, that is true. And it's on our YouTube page, believe it or not.
Just like I'm still the inaugural Universal Champion. Nobody has beaten me yet.
No one has beaten you yet?
Nope. And then I told you, my goal is, when I cash in, is to unify the world and the Universal, so we can just get it back to one heavyweight championship.
That's a high goal there, don't you think?
Well, put it like this. Nothing's going to stop me from doing it.
All right.
Not no bitching, not no complaining, not from anybody. Not problems, not issues, not bullshit. Nothing is going to stop me from doing what I have to do. When I say I'm going to do something, I fucking do it.
That's called getting
Like in April, we're going to Vegas.
Romania.
I'm going to Vegas. And ain't nobody going to stop me from doing that either.
So you've never been to Vegas?
Never. I'm very stoked and excited because it's my first time.
Cool. So that's good. That's a good thing. So that's something to look forward to in the next couple of months. So with that, don't you think when you said bullshit and whatever, that's part of what WTF history is? You know, there's always been that behind the scenes a lot.
There's always got to be that bullshit that goes around, which is just sickening already and tiresome and played out.
Hey, look, no, but not everybody.
Yeah, but Nelson,
not everybody is satisfied with a few things.
Okay,
you know?
But let me clarify one thing. All right, it's no secret. Outside of WTF, we all have personal lives, personal jobs, and personal issues. All right, but we try not to bring that to this table when we're doing what we got to do on this camera.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people, they like to fucking do that. And then it interferes with what we got to do.
I understand your point. I get it. So understandable.
Like, here's an example with a few recent issues. If supposedly you have to work, fine, we will understand. But if we don't hear from you for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then in the last minute you just think you could show up, nope, it don't work that way.
But that's a whole nother conversation.
And a lot of people here has done that shit. And it caused what? Problems and bitching and complaining.
But that's no here or there at this point in time. So that's.
But you know I'm right.
But that's.
But you know I'm right.
But what I'm saying, that's not.
But you know I'm right.
Is that you want me to say? Oh, you're right. Is that what you want me to say?
Because even you said behind the scenes, you don't want that here. Don't say one thing and do another.
That is true. You just put it this
to
way.
put it bluntly.
But I'm just saying that if you're gonna do something, just do it. If you can't, it's okay. But you can't change at the last minute. I think that's where you're trying to imply.
Exactly.
It's one of those things, right? Right. So now.
And if it doesn't make sense, we just made it make sense. Right. There's a lot of people here who like to use that fucking words. It doesn't make sense.
All right. So now, are we ready for the timeline to keep on going?
Go on, continue.
Now, you got to add one more thing too. Also, besides the wrestling.
Don't mind me today. It's just we're already still in January, trying to get the ball rolling.
That's what we're trying to do. So now, here's the deal with.
You're about to go take another vacation.
What other vacation? Well, as we speak, I'm in Vegas again for the AVNs, but that's completely irrelevant to this conversation.
Look at this. He's going to be in Vegas and then be in Vegas again in April.
Nothing wrong with that. Anyway, so.
Hey, listen. I put it like this. If you're able to travel, if you're able to eat certain places, if you're able to buy certain clothes, if you're able to do a certain lifestyle, I don't hate on nobody. However, there's people, they don't admit it, they like to do a lot of fucking hating when they see somebody else doing more successful shit than the day-by-day bullshit they do.
But look, let me just get back to the timeline we were just talking about now. We also got to add the WTF TV stuff as well, besides the wrestling, because we did a lot of stuff too besides wrestling. We did a live phone calls too. We're going to start with this. Our first live show, believe it or not, we take phone calls, was in 1995. If you remember, there was like a room full of guys that one time.
It was a room of half the roster taking these phone calls from a bunch of fucking weirdos and idiots. But you know what? That's what made part of the comedy in WTF worked.
Yeah, and then we didn't start doing live calls until like 2001, 2000.
Actually, a guy in there, he made a prediction.
What?
There was and it kind of upset you, but
What?
should we just tell the people what it is?
Yeah. Shout out to that sound. Go ahead.
Zordon was calling.
Yeah.
The guy called in and said, "Oh, Nelson, why are you going bald at an early age?" Fast forward now, he's bald.
What's wrong with being bald?
Yeah, but back then, it was kind of offensive when he said it.
I wasn't offended by. Oh, well, I knew I was bald, but anyway.
Well, put it like this. People, I'm going to give you some fucking advice. Look at this. You see my head? Nice full head of hair, right?
Well, you're not balding, right?
No. If I start to go bald in a very bad way, you're going to hear it here first. I'm going to do what he did, just have a beard and shave it off. Because there's certain people, they're hanging on to the past too much. I ain't going to say who it is, but you know what I'm talking about. And it looks funny. Just take that shit off and be done with it. Put a hat on, and that's it.
And there's nothing wrong with being bald.
No,
look at me.
There's not.
I've been doing it since 1997. I'm fine.
And a lot of people actually said Nelson looks better being bald.
And I don't know about the beard. That beard didn't come till like later.
But later. Still, it's just listen, there's no magic shampoo. There's no magic pill. There's no fucking miracle that your fucking hair is going to grow back if you start to go bald. Sorry. All these doctors and bullshit, they just want to take your money. That's it. Anyway, why are we talking about hair on people's head?
Well, because that was...
that was one of the phone calls.
Yeah, but then until, what, 2021, not 2021, 2000, that's when I started doing the live calls. And then I started up doing the live calls in 2010. As to this day, WTF TV Live, which, by the way, I will say, WTF TV Live has not been live since 2020, excuse me. The last live show we took was in February of 2020. No joke. We haven't done any phone calls, and we haven't done it since. I'm still interested in doing calls, but for those who don't know, MNN right now is not doing live feeds, meaning that we're not taking calls. They haven't even entertained the idea of like, hey, you want to do phone calls again? They haven't done that yet. So that format has yet to come back.
Listen, there's other things you forget.
What?
Okay. Yes, this show that you're watching right now is WTF Wrestling. However, it's just not about the wrestling that we do. Nelson, can you please explain to people
what?
We also travel to certain wrestling events and we cover it.
If you're talking about...
like WrestleCons or WWE World. Also, we used to sit here, right? And do reviews over pay-per-views.
That was long ago.
But you know what? There's certain people still to this day, they bitch and complain. Oh, why do you do this? Why did you go there? Why is this guy doing some entrance and you keep showing it 5 million times? Listen, we also cover other wrestling stuff.
But showing...
not just us wrestling here.
But also showing stuff like what you said, that Razor Ramon thing, if you're referring to that. We show it because, it's just part of our show. Not just that one time, but we also show it on YouTube, on TikTok, and Instagram. There's different platforms that we show, not just on one.
Yes.
But you know what I mean? That's the rationale of me doing that.
But wait, I got a question.
What now?
What happened to those times where you just sat here and you did a review about a pay-per-view or a recent Monday Night Raw or AEW episode? What happened to those?
I never really did any of them.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, but that's like in the late 90s, but I never...
Still, people liked it.
But that was like 25 years ago.
Okay, but still.
Do you think I should do...
People like it. Listen, we have complicated lives off this show. So whenever you don't see us wrestling all the time, we like to still bring you wrestling content which is what I just said.
Yeah, and if you want to see us to talk about wrestling other than the of our stuff, leave a comment over here. I do read comments, and more importantly, if there's any editing issues, tell me about it. Don't tell it to somebody else. Tell me.
Like, honestly, Nelson, tell the people the truth.
What? What's the truth?
We are going to Vegas
For what?
for WrestleMania.
So what?
But it's not just to sit there and cheer and watch it.
We're gonna make
it's because we're covering it.
Okay, we did that.
And we're going to do reviews about it like you did last year with 40.
Yes. So.
And it's kind of fun going to the different locations and showing everything of the location, the city, and all that type. Like, also, when we're in Vegas this year, it's not just going to be covering WrestleMania stuff. You will see us doing Vegas stuff.
So this brings up the timeline as well, too, when we also went to WrestleMania 35. Remember?
In New Jersey.
And we actually covered it, too.
Yes. But the one thing, that was one of the last Manias that was just in one day.
You mean one night?
One night. Well, I have to say day. You know why?
Why?
We were sitting there almost 10 fucking hours, and I think that's why they broke it up into a 2-day thing.
But that was the last WrestleMania to be to be one
and
night.
That was the last WrestleMania
ever
before the pandemic bullshit.
And that was before it became 2 nights. That was
the 2-night thing actually started in that Performance Center WrestleMania, where they made it 2 nights. And you know what? They made it work.
And yes,
that little weird era of no people, they made it work.
And by the way, for those who are wondering, yes, at least me, I am planning to go to SummerSlam when it's coming to Jersey, not far away. So 2 nights, of course, by the way. So be the first 2-night SummerSlam there. So there's that. What do you think of that?
What do I think of that? I think it is cool.
So,
because like I said, we just don't do the wrestling here and fighting here. We also go on other wrestling adventures. But you know what? For some weird reason, there's still people who bitch and complain when we do that stuff. When we explain thousands of times, even though we wrestle here, we are also still wrestling fans. All right? So deal with it.
Yes. So, but then also, some people will say, oh, we did shows in front of people. Yes, we did. That's the main thing I wanted to bring up. Yes, we did.
Actually, I want you to realize something. You see the way the wrestling was during the pandemic? We actually did that before the pandemic did that. Plenty of times. A lot of the times, we are for the person viewing at home from their phone, from their 65-inch television, from their tablet. You are the main audience.
See, but
what happens a lot? People still bitch.
See, but here's the deal, though. We still want, it's good to have an audience, too. I don't have an issue with it, but we're looking to do that in the future, as probably as early as this year. How we're going to do that, we'll announce that in due time. We're going to take care of that.
Yeah, but we're mixed back and forth. There's time when we do it for just the audience at home. But then there's a lot of times we have the audience at home and the crowds and everything. The thing is, we don't want to stop making content. We want to give you as much as possible to enjoy it.
Kind of like right now.
Yeah, but still, somebody's going to bitch. Somebody's going to complain.
But
and you know what? What I say to that now? Fuck you.
Look, what I'm saying is last week's episode was a timeline of how things started. If you haven't got the chance to do it, check it out. Last week's show, and it's in the description. The description's on the link is on the description. That's what I meant to say. I'm fucking like crazy. It's like past midnight. But anyway, I'm getting ready for a Vegas trip. That I digress there. So, but yeah, the link is on the bottom. If you haven't seen it yet, it's worth checking. But I do want your opinion on it too. If you haven't seen it, check it out and do let me know what you think. And let me know what you think of this episode that you had right here. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment on the bottom. Or if you're watching on Rumble, same thing. If you're listening to this audio, let me know too. So, what do you think?
What do I think?
Mm-hmm. What's so funny?
You'll see in due time.
All right. So we're about to wrap this up.
Before you wrap it up, though,
What?
you mentioned Vegas.
What?
This has one last bit of doing with the complaining. For all you guys on the show or off the show who complain about a certain thing, let's just say he told me about it and I thought it was a good idea. He will unveil something upgraded in Vegas.
All right.
We're not going to tell you what it is. You can even probably see it right here sitting in front of you. And you still ain't going to figure it out. But we know what it is because, Nelson, let's be honest, people have complained about it. But this year, 2025, the way you see this WTF 30th anniversary, you will see something new.
Yes.
In Vegas unveiled.
All right. So with that, just so you know, speaking of the 30th anniversary, the 30th anniversary of WTF will be in February. It was supposed to be this week, but things got changed. But you know, we'll postpone it until February. But we're using two logos, by the way. One is the one that you saw that was used during the last year, by the way. And let's not forget, for the WTF Wrestling, we also have a logo for that too. We're using two logos, as you see there, ladies and gentlemen. And there is a reason for that. That will be announced in due time about that. So, with that being said, just want to thank everybody.
But you did say February.
Mm-hmm.
But think about this. February is a big month.
And we'll be wrestling in February.
I know,
you'll see that. You'll see that.
Think about what you just said. February is a big month. You said it's the 30th anniversary of this.
Yeah.
Also, there's the Royal Rumble. There's the Super Bowl. And if you're a moviegoer, the new Captain America.
That's him. All right. So
come on, man. We're entertainment. I like to tell the people about the cool shit coming out.
There you go. All right. So with that, I just want to thank everybody for watching. Angelo Vega, of course, Universal Champion. Thank you once again. And hopefully we have more stuff.
Don't thank me.
What?
You can thank me when I do what I have to do.
All right. So we'll do that. So with that, we'll see you guys next time and an all-new episode of WTF Wrestling. Should be new next week.